Hi guys, politicians, as we know, are extremely sneaky, and they will use particular language in order to get around telling the truth. For example, instead of saying we want house prices to drop, they will say we want more affordable housing. Because if they told the truth and said we want house prices to drop, that would upset a particular voting bloc. Now, it's important that there are journalists of quality like Victoria Derbyshire who call this out. And when it comes to the number of people on PIP, Wes Streeting here is trying to be dishonest.
The Prime Minister, members of the Cabinet, you on this programme this morning, and you've said it previously, the current system is not sustainable. But even after your review, the bottom line is you want fewer people in receipt of PIP, fewer disabled people in receipt of PIP, don't you?
Well, we want to make sure we're getting the line in the right place in terms of...
So the answer is yes. You want fewer disabled people claiming PIP?
We've got, I think, 1,000 more people coming on every day. Like, it's not sustainable in its current form. It's just not. And unless we address that issue, we've got to do it in the fair way. We've got to do it in a right way. Right. But unless we address that issue...
But you won't say that out loud. Why not?
Well, I just did.
There will be fewer disabled people able to claim PIP in the future.
We've got to, as I literally just said, we've got to make sure that in terms of where we draw the line, where we get it right, that it is sustainable for the longer term.
My goodness, there are two things to mention here. First of all, this 1,000 extra people joining PIP every day. No, that's not true. That's dishonest. You know, not everyone who applies for PIP will receive PIP. But the main point, of course, is you want fewer people, disabled people, accessing PIP. Why don't you just come out and say it? Obviously, he won't say that. He's tap dancing around the issue, mentioning things like we need to have a balance and we need to. There are too many people on it. Just be frank. Just be honest for a change, and say we want fewer people, disabled people, accessing PIP. Now, he mentioned the numbers are too high. Okay. Is it the fault of disabled people that they're disabled? Is it their fault? Because what the government are doing at the moment is they're postponing these reforms, they call them, cuts basically. They're postponing them until next year. Now, there are people who are able-bodied today who may not be able-bodied next year. There are people who are disabled, young people disabled now, who may need to apply for PIP next year. And their situation has not changed. But when they apply, they may not receive it. How is that fair? These people have not decided to be disabled, but a government's job is to support the most vulnerable in society. A Labour government's job is to look after the most vulnerable in society. So how can you talk about we need to have a balance, we need to draw a line, or we need to bring... He didn't say bring down the numbers, because that would be being honest. What needs to happen is you need to have a government that is looking after people, especially a Labour government. And instead, it seems to be all driven by the Treasury. Rachel Reeves was saying the numbers are too high, they need to come down. To hell with the consequences, there are too many people on PIP. We need to put in measures to kick a load of people off PIP. And as we know, it's not going to happen this year, it seems. It's going to happen next year. But so many people are going to be affected. But do you notice the language here? Well, we need to draw a line and we need to have a balance, or the numbers are too high. He won't be honest with the public and come out and say we need to kick people off. But what is the motivation here? That has to be the question. Why is a Labour government pushing people out of PIP? Why are they determined to deny so many people this support? And remember, PIP is a non-work related benefit. You don't need... when politicians talk about we need to get people back into work, it's not related to work. It's for people who are working and not working. But it needs to be called out. And finally, there's somebody like Victoria Derbyshire who's calling this out. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. And I'll see you in the next video.